guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is The Lady Designer, and we are back with another City Zoo speed build video. And in today's episode, we are going to jump back into our North American region, and we are going to add the cougar to our City Zoo. So this habitat is located right in between the grizzly bear habitat we built in the last episode, the moose habitat, which is on the other side, and then on the opposite side of the path is the walkthrough habitat of the black-tailed prairie dog. So as you can hear already, this habitat definitely fills up an open area in between these three habitats. And for this habitat, I again used a little bit of inspiration of a real-life zoo. And for this particular build, I used inspiration of the Cougar Town exhibit of Houston Zoo. Now I couldn't really find that many pictures, so it was only one picture that I used a bit for inspiration. I will link it in the description down below of this video. So we started off with like a viewing gallery for our guests that will be covered by a lot of rocks. Like I will be using the wooden fence with the glass window for the guests to be able to look inside of the habitat on this side. So the path will be like this round shape surrounded by rocks, and at the opening we will divide the path into two different sections so we can get like these smaller path openings where the guests have to walk through. And we will obviously be using the barriers to make sure that the guests will not be walking like through the rocks or anything like that. But yeah, this idea is definitely from the real life zoo, and I really do like it. I try to make sure like it's not like too wide, so I think it's only like a meter or two in width on both sides, maybe a little bit smaller even, so really give that like narrow feeling to it when you go to this viewing gallery. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that is looking so far. So next to this rocky viewing gallery, there will be like this more open viewing gallery with like chain link fences, and they will be as high as the roof of the rocks. And in front of it, there will be this wooden custom made fence. Like this fence, I will in the end create a little bit different, including like this metal fence as the upper frame instead of like this thick wooden beam. I think that just looks a lot better in the end, so I'm really happy that I replaced that later on. So on top of these chain link fences, there will obviously be like this anti-climbing protection on the top. And to make the poles of the fences stand a little bit out more, we are using some more thicker beams on the side, something you also can refer to from the real life zoo, I guess. And I think that definitely just gives that extra little touch to this fence in the end. So on the left side of the habitat, I first closed it all off with like this rocky wall like they also have in real life, but I actually didn't really like this in the end, so I deleted half of the wall and decided to create like this more rocky cave for the cougars as a shelter. And there will be like this little window at the path where the moose habitat is, so the guests can look into their cave when they are sleeping or like taking shelter or anything like that. So yeah, it's not something I normally do to have like this viewing gallery of one like this one is right on the opposite of the moose habitat. So normally I will make sure that there's like this extended path. But yeah, this is the only time where we just have, okay, you look at one side and you have the moose habitat, and you look at the other side and then you can look into the little shelter area of the cougar. So the reason that I don't do that is to make sure that they're not like on any bottlenecks or anything like that on the path. But yeah, we don't really have that many guests in our zoo just for FPS reasons. So it doesn't really matter at this point. But yeah, it could potentially be in the future that there will be like this guest bottleneck because of this, but I think it's going to be all right. Let's hope so. So the ground of the cave will be slightly higher than the rest of the habitat. And even though I know that cougars can be found a lot in the mountains, like they're called mountain lions as well, like for this habitat, I chose to not do too much with the terrain. Also simply because the area we are building in right now doesn't really give us that much wiggle room, to be honest. And maybe we will change the other side of the habitat a little bit more in a later stage to make it more mountainish like we did with the grizzly bear habitat. But right now the cougars have to live with this more simple climbing frames and rocks where they can jump on, but that is basically it, which does match more to the city zoo style that we are going for, to be honest. Like some habitats we do a bit more, but that's mostly because the zoo was able to like renovate their habitats over time or expand it, like combining two habitats with each other, for example. So some habitats are still a little bit more simple than the others, and this one being so tightly in between other habitats, well, they just didn't have that wiggle room yet to renovate this habitat, to give that idea a little bit, I guess. So for the climbing areas, we will be using more of the new trunks and branches that they can climb on, because they all look like a little bit more natural, to be honest, than the normal climbing frames. Like we still use that platform where they can climb on still. It's not really walk on. They still have like this weird climbing animations on that flat frame. But yeah, we use that one, and then just the new branches and stuff where they can actually climb on, which look a lot more natural. So I really do like those. And one climbing area will be visible more from the open viewing gallery, and the other one will obviously be visible from the with rocks covered viewing gallery, or call it just a rocky viewing gallery, I guess. Now the cougars also have part of the river going through their habitat. Like this river ends in the grizzly bear habitat, and we use the beaver dam there for the edge of the habitat. And I will also later be using the same idea on the side of the cougar habitat to make more of like this natural border. Now this may seem a little bit too much right now, but I'm pretty sure like once this whole area is filled up with like a lot of different animals, trees and bushes and rocks and everything else, you will barely see this area as a whole. So once you get like a glimpse of these beaver dams, it all just feels more natural and normal. That is at least the plan for when this whole area is finished, of course. So since this habitat is pretty flat, I did find it important to play around a lot with the rock and tree placement to make sure that everything still looks a lot more dense, and you just don't really have the idea that it's all super flat. So I really paid like a lot of attention where I put down my trees and rocks, to be honest. And from the rocky viewing gallery, you now also see like this tiny glimpse of the river floating through this habitat, which is the intention, to be honest. Now, as I said, later on we might be changing the backside of this habitat a little bit more, as this could actually be more and better connected to the backside path of the grizzly bears as well. Like once we do this, there will be like a more nice and open viewing, like looking into the habitat and over the river from the other side into the habitat. But that is something I will focus on later, as I'm not entirely sure yet like what habitat and animal will be on the other side of this and the grizzly bear habitat. So yeah, that will probably change in the future for sure. And they will probably have a little bit more climbing area on that backside in a later stage. So the staff path leading towards the grizzly bear and the cougar habitat is closed off by some rocks, so the guests will not see the keeper's gate from the path where they are walking on. And to not make like a super obvious entrance, but yet still visible, I use the same technique that we use with the sea lion habitat in Pontoon recently, like with hiding a metal door in these rocks. This surely is inspired of the aquatic tunnel Rudy is working on in Koali Zoo, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to use this a lot more often in any of my zoos if I can. Like I just really love this idea of hiding this door in the rocks. And to make this one a little bit more obvious, I did use one of the signs on the door to make it clear for guests that they are not allowed to enter this door. I don't know, I just really like this little small detail, I guess. It's in the small little details, right? So in the rest of this video, we will obviously be detailing the whole area with a lot more rocks and trees and make it all look nice and dense and foresty, and to make it all blend in nicely to the rest of this North American region. I did use like a lot of the broken birch trees and Scottish pine trees to decorate the area, and obviously a lot of the aquatic rocks as always in like this tundra and taiga colors. I think that is mostly the combination that we are using in this habitat as well as the other habitats in this region. The only difference with like the other two habitats, like the moose habitat and the grizzly bear habitat, is that I did use the ground leaf patches we got recently to make all the dense areas look a little bit more and extra dense. Like I just really love those leaves and to use them in my build. So yeah, I don't think I did use them with the grizzly bear and the moose habitat. So yeah, that is slightly different from the other habitats, but other than that, I did use like the same type of trees and bushes, etc. for this area to make it all blend in nicely and make it all feel like the same area you are walking through. Now I am obviously very curious to hear what you all think of this very first ever cougar habitat we are building on in our city zoo and on the channel in general. Please do let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed and subscribe of course if you haven't already. And yeah, I just really do hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!